It's been a while, hasn't it? But I'm delighted to say welcome to Backpage Blues. We're in our brand new studio. I love it. And I've got my best friend, my cue card. I'm so happy.
Thanks.
No, sorry. We've got new cue cards.
Nice,
I'm over the moon. You know, we haven't done this for ages, have we?
I know. Well, last time we were together, we were mucking around in Seville.
Yes, Seville was good. I had my stag do. I'm very sorry about that video, by the way. So Sophie's giggling behind the camera. I'm very, very sorry. I'm not feeling great. I'm still struggling, but I had a wonderful time.
It was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good. But back to the nitty gritty, Charlie. What has been going on? I'm hearing some good news, and the good news revolves around Vidal.
Well, obviously, as the season goes on, we get ever closer to the summer transfers. That's what you're going to be hearing a lot of. Obviously, you know, Chelsea's main focus will be the football, will be on the league title and hopefully the FA Cup. But, you know, the media, these stories are going to be picking up. Now, one story you've seen a lot of in the foreign press is Arturo Vidal. Now, this story cropped up last summer a lot when Chelsea were looking for that sort of combative midfielder. Probably before we bought Kante, but also as the season, you know, as it got closer to the season. Now the reasoning was that Vidal probably wasn't having the best time at Bayern, and also he played his best ever football under Conte at Juventus.
Okay. Do you know what makes me feel really pleased here? You know, I appreciate that perhaps the team does need a bit of rejuvenation, but why I'm so happy is because while Chelsea are being linked with talent like this, it means that we're moving in the right direction. Like when Mourinho won the league the second time, it was because he didn't sleep, he didn't rest on his laurels.
No, exactly.
We got straight out there and we were champions, and we then went bang and went and signed Michael Essien. If we do the same again, you know, we're looking like we're doing very well in the league, we should be champions, barring a disaster we'll be champions. If we then go out as the champions of England and buy a player like Arturo Vidal, that is a sign of intent, isn't it?
Well, it would be, you know, and we know from last season that you just can't stay still on these things. I think the squad's a very good squad, but it's quite threadbare, and I think once, you know, we're going to be in the Champions League, obviously, once we've got that to contend with, we definitely need reinforcements at the top level. I've got some slightly bad news though, is that despite all these reports, Vidal, this was put to Vidal last week, and he kind of rubbished them a little bit. Obviously,
he's a committed player.
He needs to keep buying sweet, obviously. But he was asked specifically about Chelsea and Conte. He said, "Look, I've had a fantastic time with Conte. I played my best football under Conte. But you know, I'm happy in Munich. My wife's happy in Munich. All the rest of it. Okay. So I don't want people to get too excited yet. But it is a story that we're hearing crop up from various sources.
Okay, that's very interesting. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot about is Dom Solanke.
Yeah, well, look, this is kind of the biggest story coming out of the club in the last 2 weeks, really. Dominic Solanke is kind of one of the highest rated players of the Chelsea Academy, but he will not be at the club next year. His wage demands are too much for the club. He wants around £50,000 to stay. Chelsea are obviously not willing to do that, and he'll be leaving.
It's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? He's been at the club since he was a nipper.
Tiny, 8 years old. There's a great picture of him actually, I think, with Terry and Drogba back
in
And he's like,
and it's a young one of, I think he's in that picture with Tammy Abraham as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's really nice, exactly. Really sweet.
But look,
it's a shame. It's a real shame because you want players like that around the club. Players who, like Dom Solanke, is interwoven into the fabric of Chelsea Football Club. But it's a shame to lose him.
But it is a shame to lose him. But equally, you can't bend over backwards. We can't pay him £50,000 a week. Victor Moses isn't on that, and he's going to be an integral part of the Premier League.
So that must mean though he must think that he can get this wage elsewhere. He must rate himself at £50,000 a week.
Basically, his career has stalled since he started listening to terrible advisors. Now, he's going to leave on a free at the end of this season because his contract's up and he refuses to sign a new one. He will, you know, there's lots of clubs looking at him. You know, even people like Liverpool and Man City. If he goes to an English club, Chelsea will get about £8 million in a tribunal fee. Because that's the rules for players of under a certain age.
Yeah, he goes on to score 30 goals, so that's completely insignificant, isn't it?
It is, of course it is, but you know, equally he's 17, 18. You know, he's not going to be first choice for any of those clubs. So, I mean, he's going to be looking more at kind of maybe Aston Villa or something like that. Equally, abroad, Chelsea would not get that money. I think it would be about 300,000. Even Bayern Munich are looking at him because I mean he is one of
hot prospects.
Hot prospects, but. You know, he's had terrible advice. You look at players like Ake and Chalobah, the way they've had loans that worked, loans that didn't. They've come back.
Chalobah is a wonderful man, isn't he?
He's a great.
He's such a wonderful man. He completely gets it, doesn't he? He's so Chelsea.
You see him on Instagram. He's brilliant.
I love him on Instagram. He's very funny.
Great dancer.
But I also love that great dancer. Yeah, he can move. But I love the way that like one of my favourite moments of Nathaniel Chalobah's Chelsea career. And there's been some highlights. But I would go, you know, when he went over to Aguero after that challenge, he really does seem to get it. He basically feels like he's me, he's you watching, he's you, he's Sophie Cosmo. Like, he's just one of us who like get out there and do the right thing.
Absolutely, and look, him and Ake, they're not on big contracts at all. And you know they've got their head down. But
their time will come. They're young and they're going to be champions.
Exactly, and Solanke is clearly not willing to do that, so he won't be a Chelsea player. It'll be interesting to see what happens for the rest of his career.
Okay, well, cheer me up. We're going to win the league.
I think so.
We got Manchester United in the cup. That wasn't ideal.
Well, no, but you're going to have to face those teams at some point. And
it's at home, though.
The last Manchester United game at the Bridge went pretty well, didn't it?
Yes.
So look, I mean, look, Premier League. If we don't win that, that's a huge mess up at this stage.
Because they, you know, people are saying, oh, you know, the league isn't what it was and whatever. But all these boys, they're all about to be kicking with Champions League football again. A lot of them have already.
I fully believe Chelsea will win the league. I think what a great thing would be to win the FA Cup as well. It would round off the season so nicely.
John Terry's last game.
John Terry's last game.
Wembley. Yeah.
That'd be just absolute fairy tale, wouldn't it? And I think a double would be such a huge statement, and you know, people might think, oh, we've won it, you know, no one else really turned up in the league and all that. But if you win the double, no one can dispute.
No, absolutely, and there's no reason why we can't. I feel like we're in a good position.
Yeah.
Right, we should step to your questions. I'm really am looking forward to this. We haven't had enough interaction lately. Thank you so much for your questions. They all came in on Twitter. Let's step to it.
Go on.
Right, first question comes in from Raoul Chris. Cheers for your question. He's I like the question, and I hope you're correct. Basically says a Kante Verratti pivot next season.
Ha! That's ambitious, isn't it? I mean, look, Marco Verratti has been linked with a lot of clubs. He's been linked with a move away from PSG. Those noises have quietened a little bit. Obviously, we saw them have such a great game against Barcelona.
Yeah.
They'll be going through to the next round. He'll be a highly coveted player. I'm not sure he's going to be at Chelsea. I think he'd be a wonderful signing. Him and Kante, the energy in that midfield is sight to behold. They've not the height, you know, without wishing to dig out short people raw.
Yeah.
But I'd love it. I'd love to see it. I just don't think it happens yet.
Fine. Okay. Well, there's the Vidal news from earlier in the video, so you know there could be some good news still to come on that front. Next question from James Kenny. Thank you for your question, James. How will Christensen settle in?
Well, look, Christensen will 100% be part of the Chelsea squad next season. Obviously, we've seen Ivanovic go. Terry is not going to be a player next season. And real good thing is that Christensen is a kind of ready-made European class player to slot in. Now, I don't think he'll be Chelsea's first choice. That remains to be beaten, obviously. But I mean, it's very exciting to have. I mean, we talked about Dom Solanke and these young players. He is one of those players, and he's going to be in the squad next season. Borussia Mönchengladbach, which has been playing for the last few years, they have tried tooth and nail to get him permanently. They've bid like 38-40 million. Chelsea said no. Conte wants him next season, so that will happen. I'm really interested to see how he settles in.
Very good news. A question from Will. He wants to talk about Charlie Masonda.
Lots of people do. I get this question on Twitter a lot. You know, he's been brought back after a pretty unsuccessful loan spell in the first half of the season. I think it's one of these situations where he's going to have to hope for a couple of substitute appearances. Obviously, as it stands, we can't be in the business of chucking a team full of untried kids in the Premier League. I think you're looking at maybe if we're 3-0 up, he might come on. Hopefully, we'll have won the league with a few games to go. You might see him then. Conte actually was asked about this, and he said, look, he's open to the idea of including him. So he needs to get to the point where, you know, he's at the Chaloba stage of coming in. I mean, Loftus-Cheek...
Still early days for him, isn't it?
It's very early days. I mean, look, to be honest, I think Loftus-Cheek would have hoped to have had a much better season than he's had. So I think he'd probably be...
Played well when he's had a chance, I thought. Loftus-Cheek, I thought he did very well.
He has. Yeah, I think his problem is he doesn't really fit into this system, so that's something he's going to have to look to change. But in terms of Masonda, look, he's part of the squad. He's training with the first team. So yeah, that's where it stands at the moment.
Very nice. And our last question here is from H.A. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. I don't see how else it could be pronounced. He wants to know, Luke Shaw out of favour at Manchester United, perhaps? Do you think he's a good option for Chelsea Football Club?
Well, he's been completely frozen out by Mourinho at the minute. He's a Chelsea fan, Luke Shaw. He grew
chose to sign for Manchester United, though.
He did, but...
I'm playing devil's advocate. I quite like Luke Shaw at the club, but...
Yeah,
if I got the opportunity, I would have signed for Chelsea.
Yeah, me too. It almost happened.
I'm still waiting.
It almost happened.
Yeah, if you need me, Roman.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's a signing that Chelsea will be making. I don't think Chelsea should be in the business of buying Manchester United outcasts. I'm not saying he's not a very good player, but I don't see how you can say that Luke Shaw is a much better option than Marcus Alonso, given the seasons the two have just had. Now, Luke Shaw, his pros would be he's younger, he's English.
Probably not better than Ake in that position either.
Which we're going to be losing a lot. I mean, I see Ake more where Cahill plays.
Yeah.
For the minute. It's an interesting one. He's going to be a player that's going to be clearly up for grabs, but it's not something I see Chelsea making as it stands.
Here we go. Thank you all so much for your questions, and do us a favour, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do it right now, and if you enjoyed this video, give us a like. Go on, you guys.